Would you agree with me that this is probably the thing that most Christians fail to do the most?
Absolutely.
I know that's a complicated sentence.
Yeah, like this is the commandment we break.
Like all the time. Man, if there's a commandment we love breaking, we be breaking this one.
Absolutely.
Today we are here to talk about rest.
It's Manny and Will. Welcome to the ARMA podcast. In today's episode, me and Will felt like we needed to balance out our last episode. We talked about laziness. We probably offended a lot of people, lost some subscribers. It's okay. We're balancing out that episode with a whole episode on rest. I think that Adam was created from rest and victory happens from rest. So rest is important, but a lot of us, we're not preparing in terms of our work so that we can actually rest, so that we can actually turn off. So we're balancing out the last episode with this episode. I think it's great content. Let's jump in.
Wow, wow, wow.
I tried to beat you to it.
Here
but
we
you
are.
want to know what I thought in my head?
What?
Wild, Wild West.
I
was about to say Wild, Wild West, and then I just stopped.
Sometimes
that is incorrect.
Sometimes when I say wow, 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 people say yippee yo, yippee yay afterwards.
Oh, wow, 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 yippee yo, yippee yay.
Yeah, it started off as me making fun of somebody, and it's just become my trademark now.
Wow, wow, wow.
Normally when I meet people at different churches now, they're like, I know you because you're the person who's yelling at Pastor Stephen during the sermon. That's who I am.
You're the wow, wow, wow guy.
I'm the wow, wow, wow guy. Welcome to the ARMA podcast.
WWW.
This is it. Here we are. We made it to whatever episode this is.
Whatever episode this is, guys.
I'll be honest. I don't know what episode this is.
I don't know.
Numerically.
I don't know numerically.
Yeah. But I do know what we're talking about today.
I know what we're talking about.
Man, oh man.
We had to follow up the last episode.
The laziness episode.
With this episode.
With this one. Would you agree with me that this is probably the thing that most Christians fail to do the most?
Absolutely.
I know that's a complicated sentence.
Yeah, like this is the commandment we break.
All the time. Man. If there's a commandment we love breaking, we be breaking this one.
Absolutely.
Today we are here to talk about rest.
Rest.
Man.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Rest.
I have an opinion on this, actually. I know,
which is unlike you.
Wow, wow, wow.
You have an opinion?
Bro,
Can't
I'm
wait.
a pretty unopinionated individual, but on this, I got a bit of an opinion.
Okay.
I think that we're bad at resting because we're bad at working. So I think that if you don't work well and you don't rest well, because I think rest requires preparation, rest requires forethought, and rest requires work of your soul. Okay.
We don't rest well.
Yep.
Because we don't work well.
So let's think about this.
Okay.
I've conveniently placed my phone right here. We be at work scrolling.
I mean, I don't be doing this because I work at the world's best church. So we be working.
Okay. And I don't do this because I'm totally self-employed.
So you literally
I cannot afford to do that. So we be at work, right? Scrolling.
Yeah.
At work, distracted. At work, also watching YouTube, watching Netflix.
Hulu.
You know what I'm saying? We're at work.
Hulu got some of y'all in the chokehold.
Think about this. If we were to actually give our work our undivided attention,
man, oh man,
for 8 hours, it would allow us to come home and rest well. But because we give our work a half-hearted effort,
now you got to take work home.
Now you got to take work home. And now you're robbing your family of the time where they need you to be present because you were distracted while you were at work. And so now it's 7 p.m., it's 8 p.m., it's 9 p.m., and really you should be giving your wife and your kids your undivided attention.
Kids' math homework ain't done.
But now you emailing. Now you responding.
Something you should have been doing at 2 p.m.
Something you should have been doing at 2.
You're doing at 9.
You're doing at 9 because you scrolling at 2. So I think, and then we don't even rest well. So things that are supposed to be rejuvenating for us, we still scrolling. So now you're in bed next to your wife.
Okay.
And you still scrolling. Instead of putting your phone away, having intimate conversation, having intimate interaction that should refresh your soul.
Amen.
Okay? Because ain't nothing better.
Nothing is more refreshing to my soul than an intimate interaction with my wife.
Look, you talk about good rest?
She probably...
You talking about good rest?
She probably would prefer intimate conversations, but I'm like, we got to get the interaction happening too now.
Look,
We got to get the
I would contend that we gyp our work of its due, and therefore we gyp our rest of its due.
Sure.
And so now we're in a vicious cycle where we don't work well, we don't rest well, and
we can't live well.
You're tired off of vacation.
Now let's talk.
You need a vacation from the vacation.
Now let's talk about something.
Go for it.
Rest and sleep
are not the same.
Are not the same thing.
No,
because
there's a lot of people who just ain't getting enough sleep.
God rests.
Yeah.
But the Bible also teaches us he never sleeps nor slumbers.
He never sleeps nor slumbers. So we're not talking about, so let's actually define rest. Can we define rest?
Let me start with sleep.
Biblically?
Sleep is what your body needs.
Just your body needs.
Your body needs sleep.
Rest is for your soul.
It's for your soul.
Rest is for your psyche. Okay. Rest is for your emotions.
All right.
Rest is necessary. So let's talk about this, okay? Because God, like you just said,
yes,
I think sometimes we assume that rest and sleep are just synonymous terms.
Right.
So God don't get tired.
No.
So what is the purpose of him resting on day 7?
I have a theory.
Oh, I definitely have a theory that I'm about to share, okay? Because him creating mountains does not cause him to rest. Okay. Him creating the turtles does not cause him to rest. Him creating eagles does not cause him to rest.
Okay.
It's not until he made a being in his image, in his likeness, that he said, I didn't want to spend no time with the elephants. I did not want to pause to spend time with the giraffes. I did not want to intentionally pause to spend time with the whales, although they're dope. But it's something about Adam that has drawn me to stop working to spend time with Adam, which means rest is not really about sleeping. Rest is about relationship. The goal of rest is to prioritize relationships.
With who?
First with God.
Okay. So here's why
Second with others.
Here's why I think people don't rest well.
Okay.
Is because I think we skip the first part.
Exact. Yeah.
Which is the rest with God. Here's what's interesting.
Yes.
God comes walking through the garden in the cool of the day. The Bible says like he does every day.
Yep.
And this is when he asked the question, Adam, where are you?
Yes.
Adam and Eve have bitten the apple and they're hiding from God amongst the trees. God gave them dominion over the trees, but they're hiding in something they've been given dominion over.
Come on,
and
Will.
God is, that's just a little, just in case somebody was like, does he preach to you? Yeah, just a little something for you right there. He comes in and he's blah, 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 blah. Here's what's interesting. God just wanted to rest with Adam by walking around the garden with him.
Yep.
Here's what's interesting to me. That means that's all the biblical proof we need that in order for Adam to rest, he did not have to leave the environment he also worked in.
Ooh. So this is not a vacation.
This is also not the environment.
They're not going on a vacation with God to walk around.
Okay.
That work and rest are not
enemies
of each other.
No.
That they are actually supposed to.
They're entities of each other.
They're supposed to be interdenominational. Rest and work are interconnected. Right when you thought we wasn't about to shout out the Interdenominational Church of God.
We are going to quadruple attendance at the Interdenominational Church of God.
Yeah, I hope we do.
On this podcast.
I hope we do.
You know what we need to do? We need to fly for season 2, and we need to kick off season 2 of the ARMA podcast.
In the lobby.
In the lobby of the...
Or the sanctuary, if they let us in.
Because it's not an auditorium.
Okay, it's a sanctuary.
It is, and it's not a lobby either. It's a rotunda, vestibule.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, I thought it was gonna.
It is a vestibule.
I was thinking maybe it was gonna be foyer.
No. No.
That's too secular.
That's way too secular.
Okay.
This ain't a theater.
I want you to see this.
So rest and work go hand in hand.
They go hand in hand.
The same place Adam rests is where he works.
The garden is a place of work.
Yes.
The garden is a place of rest.
Yes.
So the first thing that we have to realize is that rest for a relationship. Let me point out 2 things. The first thing, I was really, really bad, okay, at taking Sabbaths.
Okay.
I've historically on the spectrum of...
One thing you're going to give us in every episode is a spectrum.
If there's a spectrum,
yes,
I naturally am on the overwork end of that spectrum, not on the lazy end of that spectrum.
Gotcha.
Okay. Until my son was born.
Interesting.
When my son was born, the team couldn't get me to do nothing. My son was born July 21st. We were into August. They was like, you gonna record a course? We built that whole studio in your garage. Are you gonna
You gonna do something?
You gonna do something? And I said, I'm so captivated by his little face.
By what you
in
created.
his hands. I'm so captivated by something that's in my image.
Made like me.
And in my likeness. And it was the first time that I realized, oh my gosh, there are some people who they are so relationally isolated that they don't see the value of Sabbath, because there are stages for my Sabbath.
Mm-hmm.
The first stage was me getting married.
Yes.
I believe that what Paul said in Corinthians is true, that if you want to give all your time and energy to the church, you better be single.
Yes.
That if you're married, your attention is divided.
Absolutely. At best.
It's unfortunate that we have built church in the modern era on married people instead of single people, because the reality is that I know a lot of married people who it's like, I'm glad you won Volunteer of the Year.
Yeah.
However, you have a whole husband.
Right.
And the Bible says that if you give all your time to the church, you're actually robbing your family of the time that they should be spending with you. So I'm first going to say Sabbath is designed for relationship with God.
Okay.
Relationship with people.
Okay.
Here's something that I've been challenged to do. I haven't done it yet. At the time of the recording of this podcast, I got challenged to do this last week, by the way.
Okay. All right. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. I appreciate you being honest.
Had time to implement this.
Sure.
I've been challenged to get a second phone. To get a personal phone. Okay.
Interesting.
Because this is my work phone.
Okay.
My Instagram account is on this phone. And Instagram's work for me.
Sure.
Emails on this phone.
Pastor Andy let you put it back on.
Finally.
That's a reference to the previous episode. If you haven't watched it, go back and watch it. Yeah.
This phone is work. And they were saying, hey, you need to get a second phone. And if you don't want somebody calling you on your day off, then they shouldn't have that number. They're saying, don't change your number. Just get a second phone and only give that number to people who you're cool.
Who you want to Sabbath with.
Because Sabbath is about relationship.
Man.
That relationship, whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, that for introverts actually aren't drained by relationship. They're drained by shallow interactions in relationships.
Because I am a massive introvert.
You are. I know this as your friend, that you're a massive introvert.
I don't know how you and I are friends.
Well, it's because I don't do small talk.
You have called me before and said, Will, I'm firing this person. And I'm like, wait a second.
Wait a whole second. Can we start at hello? Yeah, if I call you, I got something to talk about.
You have something to talk about.
I want to troubleshoot. I want to brainstorm, okay?
Yeah. My wife, we made this joke before, but when you and I get on the phone, our wives are like, all right.
Yeah.
Because y'all about to be talking for a couple hours.
Okay, so number one, I think Sabbath is about relationship.
Yes, I agree.
Okay? It's easy for me to take Mondays off because typically I'm traveling on Sundays. I travel on the weekends to preach. Sure. It's easy for me to take Mondays off because I like my wife. And I think there's a lot of people who just don't like their wife. So it's hard for them to Sabbath because they don't like their wife. I actually like my wife. So, no, I'm being serious, Will. Let's not act like every preacher out here likes their wife. There are a lot of preachers.
Every teacher or every plumber or every whatever.
Christian or every person.
That's right.
Okay? So let me, do you know that the divorce rate for NBA players that retire from the NBA skyrocket within 2 years of their retirement?
Yes.
Because while they were in the NBA, they didn't have a real marriage.
No.
They had you gone half the year. You have enough money.
Half the games are not even in the city we live in.
Half the games is away. So there are some dudes who let's say they're from Chicago. They keep their house in Chicago even though they get traded.
Yes.
Because they don't know how often they're going to get traded.
Right.
They don't move their whole family to the new city. So the whole time you're in the NBA or the NFL, you don't really have a real marriage because you got money. You can hire a cook.
Everything.
You can hire a chef.
Everything.
You can hire a cleaner.
In fact, they invite you to do that. They encourage you to.
You can mask the dysfunction of your marriage with money and distance.
Yes.
The moment you retire,
And you come home.
the money drops and you home.
Yeah.
And people realize we don't actually like each other.
I don't like you.
You know how many preachers I know who use the road as a way to get away from their family because they don't like their family.
Man.
They don't like their wife. And because they left their kid with their wife, their kid starts acting more like their wife than them. And so they end up not liking their kid because you created a version of the wife you don't like. It's easy for me to Sabbath because I like my wife.
Yeah.
I actually like her.
Yeah.
So if it's hard for you to Sabbath, you actually need to ask some harder questions.
Sure.
Like, do we get along?
And if you don't, I'm asking a practical question. What's your pastoral advice?
If you don't get along,
We are getting to the point.
let's just go ahead and reference episode, whatever it was, back 2, 3, 4 episodes ago. You need a referee.
Okay.
You need someone to actually help you to navigate marriage. And you need to reestablish intimacy.
Yes.
You need to go find a hobby to do together. I don't care y'all don't like tennis. It's not about tennis.
No.
Tennis is just the outward activity that y'all need to go do so that y'all can just be around each other again.
Sure.
So
I got some friends who have parents who cook together every night.
Which is awesome.
But their dad, they always say, my dad can't cook nothing.
Yeah. It's just an excuse.
He just stands in the kitchen with my mom.
Yeah, man.
While she cooks the food.
Okay, so this gets me to number 2.
Great.
Of what is Sabbath. Okay. When we say rest, we mean relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Second, when we say rest, we mean recreation.
Okay.
Okay. Throughout the Bible, there's actually these cycles of creation, destruction, recreation.
Yes.
It's a cyclical pattern.
Yes.
Okay. When we say recreation, that word is not just tennis, golf, sports. That word, if you break it up, it's a compound word. It's create.
Yes.
If there's a God who is the author of life and creation, the way that we partner with the cycle of creation that he's already put into existence is with recreation. Recreation is not for mastery. Now, let me give you the 4 quadrants that people typically fall in.
Okay.
I actually have this in my phone.
Okay.
This is very, very helpful. I didn't plan on talking about this, so I just got to search it in my folder real quick.
Which is not
quadrant.
I was going to say, search the word quadrant.
Here we go.
You found it?
Yes. Okay. There's 4 quadrants that we should all have in our life. Okay. This is a balanced person.
Okay.
And 25% of your attention, time should be devoted to each one. Number 1 is mastery.
Okay.
The first quadrant that everyone needs to focus on is mastery. That's work, meetings, reading, productivity. What are you mastering?
Right.
Because God put you here for dominion and for authority.
That's it.
If you are going to be a chef, you better master it.
Yes.
If you're going to be an author, master it.
We talked about the guy who worked at Five Guys.
Master that. Master it. Whatever you're going to do. Number 2 is self-care. And there is an acronym for self-care. It's called MEDS. Medicine, exercise, diet, and sleep.
Okay.
That's just self-care.
Not treat yourself.
Medicine.
Okay.
So if you on meds.
Because we talked about this in the laziness episode.
Exercise.
Okay.
Diet.
Okay.
And sleep.
Not spa.
This is just God's giving you a body to steward.
Yes.
Okay. Just take your meds if you need them.
Take your vitamins.
Exercise.
God showed up in the garden, walking through the garden with Adam every day. Okay.
Adam needed exercise.
Okay.
Exercise ain't a result of the fall.
Yeah.
Adam was in the garden walking with
God. Pre-fall, there was a walk.
There was exercising.
That's right.
Diet.
That's right. You can eat anything.
Everything in that garden was organic.
Just don't touch this. Yes.
And there was some what's off limits.
Yes.
Okay. Diet.
Yes. Sleep. The only way he got ease.
Sleep. Come on, Will.
The only way that Adam got the companion that he needed, y'all,
was going to sleep.
Going to sleep.
Okay. Number 3 Quadrant number 3 is social.
Yes.
Get the first rule of this.
Okay.
No work-related relationships. Social just for social sake.
Okay.
Friendships, no networking.
So I got some friends from work. When we come over.
If you weren't employed at this is the real test. Because people be calling their work friends their friends.
No. Don't ask me this question. I can't do it.
And then they stop working at the organization. Here's the question. Did you keep up with that person?
I'm out on this.
Okay, exactly. Then they weren't really your friend. It was your work friend.
It was your work friend. And that's cool.
There's nothing wrong with that.
But when my work friends come to the house, we have a rule.
Okay.
We're not here to talk about work.
We're not here to talk about work.
We have some friends. Shout out to Carlos and Sam Hernandez.
Yep.
We play board games like 60-year-old people on cruises.
Which is phenomenal. Do you like Settlers of Catan?
Are you kidding me?
Is that your jam?
Have we never talked about this before?
No, never. This is the first moment. I don't know if you hate it or love it. I'm hoping you
love it.
Bro, I love Settlers of Catan.
Have you played Ticket to Ride?
No.
It's a cooler, faster version of it.
Interesting.
It's so good. Play Bananagram?
Nah, I really only play Settlers of Catan, bro.
We play Phase 10.
Settlers, I don't know, can't rock with none of that. Here's what I like about Settlers of Catan. It's like Monopoly meets the Oregon Trail together.
And I get to barter.
Yo, I love the
talk
bartering.
A little trash. All of it. My point is, we met through work.
Mm-hmm.
But when we get together, it's a non-work related relationship.
Yes.
It is a relationship that hopefully we always work at Elevation Church forever.
Yeah.
But if that were to not be the case, these are still people that will be in our lives for the rest of our lives.
Good.
Yeah.
Quadrant number 4, pleasure.
Okay.
Hobbies, fun. 25% of your life should be pleasure. 25% of your life should be social. 25% of your life should be self-care. And 25% should be mastery.
Why do we as Christians oftentimes not like to not have fun?
Because we don't like our own humanity.
What's that about? Because I'm going to be honest.
There's a tension here even in the Bible.
I love a good church kickball game. Oh, my goodness.
Church kickball.
Oh, I'm the pitcher. I'm designated pitcher. Your boy is nice. In church kickball, I am basically CC Sabathia. Is that his name from the Yankees? I am what's my boy's name who played for the Dodgers? You don't know.
I have no idea.
I
was about
love
to say
it.
Jerry Lorenzo.
And
I know that man don't play baseball.
I love me some fun. Spades.
I think he threw the opening pitch one time, and now I just associate him with the Dodgers.
If you think you nice in spades, man, holla at your boy.
Now, let's get this. Recreation.
Okay.
Is number 2.
Sure.
That falls into social. That falls into pleasure.
Right.
What do you do that's just fun?
Yes.
This is an interesting thing. I grew up at a church where if the pastor was going to go do something fun, they had to have some kind of excuse. No, I'm being so serious. It's almost like they had to explain
the fun
why they weren't going to be there.
Okay.
Well, it's my son's AAU tournament, but it's like I think we need to normalize pastors just saying, "Yeah, I ain't going to be here this weekend."
And y'all gonna be okay.
I don't need to give y'all. I'm a grown man. I'm grown. I don't need to tell y'all why I ain't gonna be here.
Because God came and walked with Adam at a certain point in the day, which is why Adam knew when to hide.
Oh.
Which leads me to believe that God wasn't just hovering over Adam's shoulder all day, every day.
Yes. No, actually, he wouldn't have even been able to.
Right.
Because even without sin, we would have still needed the cross.
Yes. Interesting.
Yeah, because the garden was not created perfect.
It was created
good.
Which is why I believe God needs
was
rest.
not created as an environment in which humanity and divinity could dwell together in perfect union 24 hours a day.
It was made to be good, not perfect.
It was made to be good.
So,
there was still a barrier between God and Adam.
Here's what I always here's when I teach
and
about,
I know that's a theological curveball for a lot of people. We'll stick with us for the duration of the podcast. We'll come back to that.
Yeah. I think the reason why rest is so vital is because we do good.
Exactly.
Paul says it this way in his letter to the Galatian church.
Yeah.
Let us not grow weary in well-doing, in doing good.
This is good.
For in due season, you'll reap a harvest of blessing if you do not faint.
Exactly.
I believe that rest is the intended cure of God for weariness. I think sleep is God's plan for tiredness.
Yep.
You tired, go to sleep.
Yep.
But if you're weary, you need to, because weariness affects your soul.
Yep.
Weariness is not a spirit.
Yep.
Because spirits don't grow. There is no junior spirit. Teenagers don't wrestle junior demons. They don't get the junior Holy Ghost. That's not what this is.
Exactly.
Spirits can multiply. They don't grow.
Yep. So
if it's able to grow in weariness, like Paul writes, it's not a spirit. It's a symptom of our soul.
Exactly.
And it only comes from doing good. It's the only time we're warned against weariness in the Bible. Let us not grow weary in well-doing and doing good.
Yep.
And I think for 6 straight days, God is going, this is good, 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 this is good. Day 7 comes around, it's like, oh, I need to rest.
Yep. And I need to set a precedent.
On the 6th day, I created something worth resting for.
Worth resting for. God rests on day 7 for the same reason Jesus gets baptized in the New Testament. Not because he needs to do it, but to set a precedent. As an example to humans as to why this is, you can't be godly without doing this.
Yes.
Let me say a couple of things. Okay. Number 1, the Bible never says that Samson and Delilah have sex. The Bible never says that Samson and Delilah have sex.
Okay.
The Bible says that Samson laid his head on her lap to rest.
Wow.
And if your weariness leads you to Delilah's lap, then you find comfort.
Wow.
In sin when it's only God that can actually rejuvenate your soul.
Which is what rest is supposed to do.
Which is what rest is supposed to do. So the enemy always has a counterfeit.
Absolutely.
For what God has set up as a source.
I've got divinity for you.
Exactly.
What I'm going to offer you is Delilah.
And we have to ask ourselves right now, how many, the viewer has to ask himself, whoever's listening to this podcast has to ask himself, what area of my life is Delilah's lap? Am I watching pornography after I preach because I'm tired or because I'm horny?
Ooh.
Because it may be because I'm tired and stressed.
Ooh.
It may not be because I'm horny.
Maybe not because the spirit of lust.
It may not be a spirit of lust.
Overrun my.
It's because instead of running to intimacy with my wife, instead of running to recreation, I'm running towards self-sabotage and destruction.
Which is presented to me as self-satisfaction.
Exactly.
Yes.
Because the enemy's not going to just tell you the truth.
Because if he did.
The enemy's not going to say, I got a razor blade right here waiting to cut all your hair off. He's just going to say, come on. Just lay your hair. Come on. Just lay on my lap. Lay your head on my lap. Just lay on my lap. So what lap has the enemy offered to you? Like, there's this lie that if I smoke weed, I'll have less anxiety. It's a form of Delilah's lap. But really, you're now in a vicious cycle where the more you need to smoke weed to get rid of your anxiety, the more anxiety you have.
The more anxiety you have.
Yeah, because now you're in a vicious cycle because now every time your flesh wants weed, it just makes itself anxious to make you give it weed. So you started with one problem, which is anxiety. Now you got 2 problems, which is
anxiety and addiction. Yes.
Okay, so the enemy's slick. He always presents Delilah's lap as an alternative to true rest.
Yes.
Because true rest requires work.
Yes.
True rest requires creativity and productivity. It requires that you are not lazy in your soul.
True rest is not laying down.
It is not laying down.
Can I tell you how I rest most frequently in my life?
Because Samson did not find rest in Delilah's lap.
No.
He found sleep.
Yes, but not rest.
Here's
how I practically rest on a regular basis.
Okay.
I make barbecue.
Come on.
Good barbecue, too.
Good barbecue.
That I'm so good at making barbecue. Earlier when I was talking about Oh, dang, I can't believe I'm about to bring this up again. My musical abilities.
How many instruments you play, Will?
13. We're gonna let's keep doing it. I was doing that in humility. With a lot less humility, I'm bragging about how good my barbecue is.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
I don't do it because I want to open a restaurant.
Uh-huh.
I don't do it because I want to be the world's most famous barbecue chef.
Mm-hmm.
I do it because this is how I rest.
For sure.
It's my version of walking around the garden with God.
Exactly.
Let me tell you something. Some of the tensions I have in my marriage, some of the tensions I come up against raising my children, when me and God talk about it the most, is when I'm outside standing in front of that fire.
For sure.
And I don't have an audience, and I don't have a microphone in my hand, and I don't have a camera.
For sure.
I'm not on platform. I'm not on stage. I'm walking through the garden with God in the cool of the day.
Yep.
And I'm like, man, this is stressing me out.
Yeah.
This is stressing me out. I don't understand this.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll be talking to God like I'm Adam. This woman you gave me. Now, when I first saw my wife, I was like, bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh when I first saw her.
For sure.
Some stuff had done come up in our marriage, and I'm like, this woman you gave me, but it's in my rest. It's standing in front of the grill making barbecue. Now, we get some good ribs and some pulled pork and some smoked chicken, and we get a lot of good stuff out of it. But the reason I do it is because this is a very practical way that, if not, I would just lay upstairs in the bed
for sure
and get sleep. But what my soul needs
is rest. And recreation is a form of rest. Let me say two things about Adam, and then we'll wrap up.
Okay?
First thing about Adam. When Adam wakes up out of his sleep and he says, bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh, it's proof that Adam knew how many ribs he had.
Yes.
How does he know?
Because I don't know how many ribs I have.
How does Adam know that there's a rib missing? How does he look at Eve and say, I know what you're made of? How does he wake up and go, I got one less rib? It's because he knew what was in him. He knew his own personal inventory. So I want to compare Adam, Jesus, and Samson. Adam wakes up, goes, bone of my bone. I got a bone missing. Jesus, woman with the issue of blood, comes up behind him.
Virtue has left me.
I felt power go out from me.
But when Samson wakes up,
he did not know that the Lord had left him.
Emmanuel.
A lack of awareness of personal inventory
is a clear indication that you are not resting.
You don't know what you have. At the beginning of the year, I have to know how many sermons I got in me.
Yes.
I have to know
before I can start taking bookings.
Do I have a podcast in me?
Right.
Because if I don't have it in me, I will get up like Samson, assuming I'm about to slay the Philistines, not knowing that I don't even have the gas in my tank
and then the
to
Philistines
get me there.
Mock him. Samson, oh Samson, where's your strength?
Pluck man's eyeballs out. Jesus knows how much power is in him.
And the disciples don't, which is why they say,
what do you mean who touched you?
Everybody is touched. Where you touch?
Everybody.
It's a crowd.
Okay, second thing I'm going to say about Adam.
Have you preached that sermon before?
Never.
I'm preaching it. That's mine. I'm letting you know right now. And I'm going to say it's spiritual too. Like, the Lord revealed this to me. And I want to compare.
Well, we have proof now on this video.
I don't care.
Second.
Okay.
When God says, because number 3 on this 4 levels of
the 4 quadrants.
By the way, this is in my notes app. This is called behavioral scheduling.
Okay.
If you sit down with a good therapist and they just look at your Google Calendar, they will tell you if you're going to self-sabotage. Because if you ask me, why have we seen so many pastors fall into sexual sin and lose their ministry and lose their credibility and lose book deals and lose speaking engagements? We're not going to name no names, but we all know the Christian leaders who have fallen from public platforms.
Yeah.
I would say it's a self-conscious move to get off the treadmill because they're tired. Because the moment a human becomes a brand, you dehumanize the human.
Sure.
And now you're not a human that we have to care for and give rest to. Mark Batterson, when I was getting a book deal, they wanted to know if I would do a book tour. And they said, it's important for us to know because Mark Batterson will only leave his house for 2 weekends a year. And so we know if we're going to put him on a book tour, we only got 14 days because he's only going to be gone from his house for 2 weekends in a whole year.
Wow.
So they were like, essentially, do you know your own personal inventory? And we've not seen a scandal from Mark Batterson. Why? Because he's not on a treadmill.
Nor has it cost him a book deal.
Nor has it cost that man a book deal.
Okay. So, because rest is not keeping you from anything.
No.
If anything, it's keeping you in what God has called you to.
If you do this God's way,
Yes.
you can rest.
Yes.
God's design for you is not to be a slave.
Yeah.
You're not a slave to the ministry.
Yeah.
I'm a slave to Christ.
Yes.
Which means I have to crucify my flesh. But I'm not a slave to the ministry.
So I don't have to crucify my family.
I don't have to crucify my family.
Great.
Or my sanity.
Yeah.
On the altar of what I believe I'm supposed to be building for God.
Brand management.
Or brand management.
Yeah. Excellent, Manny.
Last thing I'm going to say is when God looks at Adam, because, okay, behavioral scheduling is what we're talking about.
Yes.
If a therapist looks at your calendar
Mm-hmm.
and they go, yo, 75% of this is mastery, you're going to drive yourself into the ground.
Right.
Where's the self-care?
Right.
Where's the social relationships?
Right.
Where's the pleasure? Where is all of that? Okay?
Right.
And they don't see enough balance. They're going to tell you you're doomed.
You're doomed.
It's doomed. Now, God said, because the third one here is social.
Right.
God says to Adam, it's not good that you're alone. We have to break that word alone down because it doesn't just mean it's not good that you're by yourself. What God actually is saying is it's not good that you're all one.
Alone, all one.
Alone.
Alone,
all one. Because God made Adam in his likeness and in his image. The Shema tells us, Deuteronomy tells us,
6.
Hear, O Israel.
Chapter 6, 4?
I don't know.
I'm
fact check it.
I think it's Deuteronomy 6, 4.
Hear, O Israel, the Lord your God, the Lord is one. Which means he's a united being. He's self-sufficient. Holy Ghost, Jesus, God, 3 in 1.
Yes.
So Adam has Eve already in him.
Deuteronomy 6 and 4.
Deuteronomy 6:4.
Wow,
Bob and
wow,
Nerd
wow.
on the scene. It's not good that you are only dependent on you.
On yourself.
So I have to pull the feminine out of you. This is why he can say bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh.
Because he knew what had left him.
Because he knew that God had just separated Adam from the Eve that was in him.
Yes.
So now Adam is dependent on another human being.
Yes.
And Eve is dependent upon Adam.
Here's what's interesting.
This is interdependence.
Like the interdenominational church.
Because humans are not just bad in isolation. They're bad when no one depends on them.
Yeah.
Some people are lazy because they don't got nobody dependent on them.
Nobody dependent on them.
I'm not lazy because I have a wife and I have a kid. I tell people all the time, if you're living life for yourself, you'll always give yourself the out to be lazy.
Absolutely.
But if you're living life for somebody else, I got employees, I got a payroll.
I got wife
Whether
and I got kids.
I want to work or not, I got people depending on me. And whether I want to rest or not, I got people depending on me.
Excellent.
So I have to work well and rest well
so that
and
I can
steward so that I can be for them what they need me to be so that they can be for me what I need them to be. A lot of times if you grew up in a codependent family, you, instead of correcting, you overcorrect. So instead of correcting to interdependence, you overcorrect to independence.
Independence.
And so if you grew up codependent, which is two people taking advantage of the dependence that they naturally have on each other, you go towards independence and you start saying things like, I don't need nobody. I don't need nobody. Just me and God.
Yeah.
All I need is Jesus.
As long as I got King Jesus, I don't need nobody.
Even
else.
Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane said, yo, can y'all stay awake and pray with me? If Jesus need people, Who do you think you are that you don't
That
need
you don't
people?
need nobody. That's great,
So
man.
I would say rest. If we're going to talk about rest, we have to talk about relationships that revive you.
Yes.
Recreational activities that revive you.
Yes.
I think the if I have to go the right hand and the left hand of rest, I think the right hand of rest is relationship and the left hand of rest is recreation.
I would say this. You cannot rest well. You cannot work well. Period. If you can't rest well, you can't work well.
No, you cannot.
And you will never learn to live well or to be well
Yeah.
until you learn how to rest well.
Get this. Day 7, where God rested,
Yeah.
it was God's day 7.
Yes.
It was Adam's day 1.
Excellent. Excellent preaching.
Adam starts his life
Rest.
from rest. That's where he starts life. And that's where every believer starts life. Because Jesus heals on the Sabbath,
Yeah.
does all types of stuff on the Sabbath. And then John is really good to make sure that Jesus dies on a Friday.
Yeah.
Because Sabbath is Saturday.
Sabbath is Saturday.
And the Sabbath that everybody's been complaining that Jesus doesn't celebrate, he finally celebrates it because he's laid in the tomb,
Rest.
resting
Wow.
on the same day of the week
Right.
that God rests with Adam.
Wow, wow, wow.
And so Easter becomes the same day 7 that God establishes with Adam. So every Christian starts their life from rest.
From rest.
We don't live for rest. We work from a place
from a
of
place
rest.
of rest.
I rest in the victory of the cross, and I rest in the position I have in Christ. That although I'm working for
Yep.
ARMA to become XYZ,
Sure.
although I'm working for Manny and Will Ministries to become X, Y, and Z, I rest in the fact that on the cross, Jesus said, it is done.
It's done. It's
So
finished.
although I'm working for time to catch up with what God has already spoken,
Right.
I rest in the fact that I don't have to worry about it when I'm laying asleep at night.
That's right.
That it is done.
It's done.
Whatever measure God is already going to entrust me with, it's already done.
done.
And I can work from a place of rest.
That's great.
So rest is not just physical, it's spiritual.
That's awesome. ARMA Podcast.
ARMA Podcast.
We love y'all. We'll see you next week.
Love y'all. Peace.
I hope that episode was helpful to you. Jesus says, come to me, all of you who are weary, and I will give you rest. Jesus promises rest all throughout the Bible. You know, the Bible is an invitation to come into the rest of the Lord. So I hope that today's episode was helpful. If you enjoy the way that we break down the Bible, the way that we talk about theology, then I want to invite you to do 2 things. How about you leave a review on this podcast? That would actually help us a ton. And how about you share this with someone? And lastly, you can go to armacourses.com to learn more information about the sea of content that we have available for our subscribers. Our subscribers love our courses. And so if you like the podcast, I think you'll love the courses. This is my personal invitation to you to become a Bible nerd and to go on this journey with us. Love you. See you next time. Peace.